Yeah, PHP it just works. Like, and I think it just seems to go hand in hand with like what I like to call sort of like web documents. So like when I'm creating a web page and I want to add some sort of dynamic data into it, you can just, you write the sort of page in HTML and then you can just slap in a little bit of PHP and like boom, it's dynamic and it's working. So it's like sort of sprinkling on sort of like dynamic content on top of like a HTML page. And I think that's what it's best suited to. I just think and it's a really fast way to develop. I find it's easy. It's not, it gets hated on because it's not pretty and not the best looking language in the world. But I mean, it just works and it's fine. Like it's not, it's not pretty, but then also you don't care. You can make it work. So yeah, I just find it a really fast way to develop, and it seems to go hand in hand with creating sort of web documents. They're sort of adding a bit of like dynamic stuff to it. So if I go to like the chain reorganization page, I'm on the that's on the local site. So if I go on chain reorganization. So like, yeah, so like I'll write the page and then it's like, oh, by here I'll just add in some, dynamic data. So this just gets pulled in via PHP. And it's just like a really quick, easy way to add some data to a web page. So yeah, I've always worked with PHP and I find it easy to use. So I've just continued with that vein. I find it really simple and fast as well and easy to manage. Yeah.
And then for those tools such as hashing or generating a public key from a private key, or yeah, like the all of these different functionalities, is there a specific Bitcoin tool or API that you're using on the back end?
No, it's just a library I've written myself because when I'm writing all the web pages, I'll code everything that I can so I understand it completely. So I'll end up writing a bunch of like either Ruby or PHP code. So I've got like a nice little script there so I can break it down, and then I'll just create the tool then, and I'll use like I use either the same code or some other code I've written before. So it's all library based that I've got. I feel like it gives me a lot of control then, because I felt like if I was using a pre-existing library, I'd be sort of tied into their API and what I can show. So by having my own code and library, I can break it down and adjust it to show the exact data that I like. So
I guess hence the reason why there's like most of your code snippets that you share on your pages are in Ruby.
yeah, like that was a bit of a weird choice. So if I go sort of any page on here, what's bits maybe? Yeah, so a lot of the code examples, they're all in Ruby, but on the back end, it's all PHP. But when I'm learning, a lot of the time, it's a lot faster because Ruby's a much nicer language to work with, especially when you're learning something than PHP. So if I'm learning something, I'll tend to use Ruby first just to be able to break it down and get it working to see how you get from A to B and connect all the dots. And when I've done that, then I'll move on and then I'll rewrite it then in PHP. And even rewriting it sometimes gives me a better idea of how something works. Yeah, but then I'll use that PHP then sort of like the power of the website. But I'll use the Ruby, as part of the examples because it's much easier to read because it keeps out the way. It's not a lot of like syntax things to learn. I just find it more intuitive. So that's why all the code examples are in Ruby. But if I could do it over again, maybe Python would have been a better choice because it's more common. But I just went with Ruby because that's what I liked at the time.
I mean, with all these code snippets, you could probably write your own Ruby-based Bitcoin library.
Yeah, I have got like a little one. I've never released it though. Like I've sort of made my own sort of little library of code that I use for myself. I've never released it because I don't. It's not really fully fledged. It's just for more my own learning purposes. Yeah, and I think it would be a lot of responsibility as well. I've got a lot of responsibility at the moment with like building the website. But yeah, no, I have got quite a bit of code, and that's how I learn is through coding as much as I can around Bitcoin. So when you code around it, then you can understand it. That's what I find anyway.